So I want to explore this a little bit more before we talk about kind of practical things we can do. So we talked about kind of those angry outbursts might be one symptom or sign. What are maybe some other symptoms or signs that you see from clients that come in that leads you to say they are either really, really tired or they've got some level of anxiety that's starting to get in the way of living the life they want to live?
Yes. And I think just in general, our anxiety is still very high. You know, at the start of the pandemic, throughout the pandemic, you know, we saw higher and higher self-reports of people feeling anxious, people experiencing depressive symptoms. And I would say that is still the case. And how that is manifesting in people's lives, people are feeling more easily overwhelmed by day-to-day tasks, struggling to make decisions, ruminating over decisions, and again, not handling things in the most effective or productive way. You know, so often our, not to go back to this anger point, but for instance, so often our anger is actually just unaddressed anxiety. And I really think that the level of anger that we're seeing right now in society, it is because we're so anxious and we don't know how to sit with the anxiety, get curious about the anxiety, understand our anxiety. But I think also our anxiety is manifesting in a louder inner critic. A lot of people are reporting more struggles with self-criticism, struggles with feeling motivated. You know, so often I hear people say, you know, I used to feel just so motivated and I was able to get things done and I just had more creativity, and now I just have no motivation and nothing really interests me. And again, I think that is connected to our anxiety, and it's not an obvious connection because we think anxiety, I'm nervous and I'm anxious, you know, but it's that depletion. And if we stay anxious long enough, we become depleted. And we're just depleted because we have been living in this fight or flight mode for 2.5 years. And you stay in that long enough and it does impact your motivation. It does impact your creativity, your desire to take care of things. It increases that overall sense of kind of apathy and cynicism. And you know, and that's the other thing with us feeling anxious, we feel so out of control. COVID was out of our control, and wherever you fell on the mask debate, it felt out of your control, and politics feels out of our control, and what's going on in the world feels out of control, and now the economy feels out of our control. And so, again, this onslaught of things feeling out of our control, eventually we can begin to feel like, what's the point? Like, I'm just going to have to pay the $4.69 for gas, and you know, and that cynicism and apathy, and it just zaps us. We're just still zapped.
Yeah. So it's interesting hearing you talk, because as you were talking, I was thinking to myself, you know, I see this almost on a macro level. You know, our unemployment rate's actually pretty good. It's good, and yet every single organization I talk to, company, nonprofit, doesn't matter, they can't get people.
Yes.
And
fascinating.
Yeah. And basically what everyone's concluded is there's some folks still on the sidelines that have not come back. Maybe they retired early. They said, you know what, I'm 65. I was going to retire anyway. I'm done. But I think there's a whole other group that is still on the sidelines. And there may be reasons, like they're still dealing with some personal challenges that they're dealing with their own family, maybe healthcare for family members, or you know, education for their children. But there could be a lot of this going on too, where people just feel like I don't feel motivated, I don't feel ready. I'll just stay here.
And I think also with that, you know, COVID was. This isn't an exact correct use of the phrase, but it was a brush with death. Like COVID, what really heightened our sense of our own mortality, right? This invisible force that could get you really sick, and
you're right.
It could turn.
I mean, whether we talk literally or figuratively, it's this thing out there that who knows what it is and how it's going to operate, and you know, and it could be quite drastic.
Right, exactly. And again, it's out of your control. And so I think also for a lot of people, just related to this with the employment and the Great Resignation, it's like, I don't know when this rodeo might be over. And is this the guy I really want to work for? Is this the team I really want to be on? Is this what I really want to do? Like, there's just been a huge existential crisis, which only adds to our sense of anxiousness and I want to make better decisions now. And it's just so interesting how it's impacted us.